talofa lava, whakalaka lahi atu, and hello me, and kia ora. It is so nice to be able to come and visit you today, and I can tell you I'm not going to forget this visit because of that beautiful welcome that you all gave us as we arrived today. Have you been practicing much? Because it was pretty amazing. So I think maybe there was a little bit of practice, either that or you were just really, really good. I thought maybe I would share a little bit about who is here with me today, and then we'll talk a little bit about why we're here. And I just want to warn you, I'm going to ask some questions, and I'd really like you to give me some answers. So do you hear when you have questions and answers, do you just put your hands up when you have answers? Is that how you do things? Yes. Great, that's what we'll do. But first, I'm going to just introduce you to a couple of people who are here with me today. Sitting right next to me is someone called Andrew Little. Andrew's going to give a wave. He is the Minister of Health. It's a really big job. It means that he's in charge of making sure that we have all the things that we need to be really healthy and well in Aotearoa. It's a very, very big job. We're going to talk a little bit in a moment about one of the things that's really important to Andrew. And sitting next to Andrew is Minister Jan Tinetti. A little wave for Jan. Jan has lots of different roles, but one of them is that she looks after a part of our education system. Jan used to be a primary school principal. And so she, I know, loves education and loved being a teacher. And I think probably when she comes back, misses it just a little bit. And you might also, and I'm just going to do one more person, you might also recognise Mark Goshi. Do you recognise Mark? Mark is a member of your community, but he used to be a minister in Parliament as well. So he's a very special person to us because he is very wise. Now, what do you think one of my favourite things as Prime Minister, one of my favourite things that I get to do as Prime Minister might be? What do you think one of my favourite things? So I'm lucky enough to run the country, but I have something that is still one of my very favourite things to do in this job. What do you think it is? Reading? I do love reading. I do a lot of reading. Who loves reading? Great. You could all be Prime Minister. I love to read. I do a lot of reading. That's a very good answer. But there's actually something else that's one of my favourite things to do. Being on TV. Would that be your favourite thing? Yeah, few guesses. Who says yes? Who says no? Do you know, being on TV is not one of my favourite things. I'll leave that there. So there's another thing. It's a little close to what I'm doing now. Yes. Meeting different people, absolutely. Meeting different people is definitely one of my favourite things. But actually, meeting different people where? At schools. I love visiting schools. Do you know one of the reasons I love visiting schools? Is because you guys always ask me really good questions about what it's like to be Prime Minister. So I want you to have a little think about any questions you might want to ask. Before we do that though, I want to talk a little bit about why we're here today. We're all here in school because you're learners. Am I right? You're here to learn new things, to learn about the world and Aotearoa and all the things you need to do to know as you grow. But what makes it easy to learn? What makes it a little easier to learn? What do you need if you want to do a really good job of learning? What do you think you need? A team. That's a great answer. So who needs to be part of your team? Who needs to be in your team to help you learn? Who needs to be in your team and around you? Who do you think? Friends? Yep, having great friends. Having great friends really helps. Why do great friends really help? Yeah. Family help as well. How do you think, do you notice that sometimes it's easier to learn some days when you feel good and it's a bit easier to learn? Is it some days easier to learn than others? So we talk about how we need to make sure that we look after ourselves. We have full bellies, and we have clear heads, and we're ready to learn. Sometimes it's harder to learn though if we're feeling a little bit sad or a little bit distracted. Do you find sometimes it's hard to learn if you're feeling frustrated or angry? Do you notice that? Yeah, I do. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that we make it as easy as possible for you to learn. And that means making sure that we're looking after every part of us, our minds and our bodies. And one of the ways that we can do that is make sure in schools that we're looking after our minds and our bodies. Now, who's over the age of 10? A few of you. Well, for some of you, before you were born, we had a really big earthquake in Christchurch. You will have heard about this before. How do you think that might have made the children down in Christchurch and Kaikoura when they had one? How do you think they would have made them feel? What do you think? Yeah, it's scared. And so one of the things we did a while ago was we wanted to make sure that we were looking after the tamariki in Christchurch by putting in a program called Mana Ake. And do you know it works really well? We helped 7,000 tamariki who felt a little bit afraid at school, and it helped them to learn. And now what we want to do is we learned lots of things from doing that, and so now what we want to do is we want to bring that program and roll it out in new places. And we're going to do it on the West Coast. We're going to do it in lakes, the Bay of Plenty. And we're going to do it here. Because we think this would be a great place to make sure that we're doing everything we can to look after our minds and our bodies, and that we just feel as often as we can like we know how to deal with things if we feel a bit frustrated or a bit sad or a bit angry. So when we know how to deal with that, then we're ready to learn. So, I'm going to come back one day and hear what you think of Mana Ake. Because I've gone down and I've asked the kids in Christchurch and they've told me, and I want to hear what you think after we bring it up here. So do you think you can do that for me? Yeah. Great. So I'll be back. In the meantime, what questions do you want to ask me? Ooh, we've got a few. Yes.